Hello class, I wanted to shoot a real quick video for the probability homework or the probability quiz, and I'll probably put a few questions about probability on the midterm examination. So I want to give you a heads up on what that is so you can do your quiz and you'll be able to do the questions on the midterm exam. So the first thing let's look at is coins. So we have coins, let's call them quarters. And we'll call them fair quarters. It'll have a face of probably like a president or something like that. That's not a very good drawing, but let's say we have two coins. And we have these presidents' heads on them. And like I say, I'm not an artist by any means, but they're smiling. So we're gonna have a good time with this. So we have probabilities. So if I have one coin, I have two sides to this coin, of course. I've got a heads and I've got a tails. So I've got two chances or two outcomes, I'd call it. So I can have either one or the other. I can't have both. So I have a 1 out of 2 chance, or there's a 50% probability that I'm going to either land on heads or tails if this is a fair coin. That means if it has a head and a tail. Same thing with this, there's a 1 and a 2 chance that it's going to land on either head or tails. So I can't just add these two things together. But what I can do is I can say that what are the probable outcomes for two coins? If I flip two coins in the air, what are the chances that two of them are going to land on heads, or two of them are going to land on tails, or one will land on heads, one will land on tails, or one will land on tails and one will land on heads? So there's going to be 4 possible outcomes now. So I will have a head and we'll say a head and a head, like I have here. That's one possible outcome. I could have a head and a tail. That's another possible outcome. I could have a tail and a head. That's another possible outcome. So I'll have one more possible outcome, a head and a head, a tail and a head, and I could have 2 tails. So now I have all the possible outcomes for this particular situation. So what is the probability of landing on heads? So I could say, well, 2 heads. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 possible outcomes for landing on 2. So I've got a 1 out of 4 chance. So I would take my trusty calculator and I would just plug that in, and then I'll get the actual probability. So the probability for throwing 2 coins up in the air and both of them landing on heads is going to be 1 divided by 4 is going to be 25%. Pretty easy. So there's a 25% chance, and it's just like the probability for you getting a question right on a multiple choice question. If you have no knowledge of the content and you just guess, the probability of you getting it right is 25% if it has A, B, C, and D. So what is the probability of getting heads and tails? Well, it's 25%. What is the probability of getting a tail and a head? Of course, this is all going to be, 1 out of 4 chance. So when we add another coin, it basically cuts this in half. So we can always, and you can just continue to add coins, and you can continue to add the probabilities. So that's kind of what we're going to be talking about. And this is a very simple condition here. But now I can take this and we can talk about dice. Well, dice is a little bit different. So if I have one die, it's called a fair die. That means that if you throw it on the ground, it has an equal chance of landing on all 6 sides. There's no one side that's going to be have a favor over another. So if I say, what is the probability of me rolling one die and it lands on a 2? Well, I have a 2 here. It's going to be a 1 out of 6%. So you just plug that into your calculator, and 1 divided by 6 is going to be a 17% chance. Let me double check that. 1 divided by 6. Yeah, 0.17 or 17%. Now, let's say that I add 2 dice, and now there's a 1 out of 6 chance that I'm going to land on one of these sides. So now I have to multiply this by how many times there's a chance of rolling a particular number on this second die. Now we have dice, so I'm going to take 6 total possibilities here and 6 total possibilities here. I'm going to multiply those together to get 36. And I'll show you how that works. So I have 1 die, and I'll put it on the top here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different possibilities. And I've got the same thing over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 1 and 1 is going to be 2. So what is the possibility of, rolling snake eyes with 2? Well, there's a very small possibility of doing that. But what is the possibility or the probability of rolling a 2? 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And I can continue to do that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is called a matrix. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I got all my possibilities here. So I've got 36 possibilities. So if you count all these things up, there's 36 possible outcomes. So we'll put a little bracket around this so it will be easier to identify these things here. So what if I ask you a question, what is the probability of rolling a 7? Well, it's easy. You would just take all the 7s and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's a 6 out of 36% chance, and you would just reduce that down to the least common denominator, or I'll just take the fraction and turn it into a decimal. So 6 over 36, or 6 divided by 36, is going to be 17%. So let me double check that. 6 divided by, turn my calculator on, 6 divided by 36 is 17%. So there's a 17% probability that you would roll a 7. Well, what is the probability of rolling an 8? So we'll take all the 8s. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would just go 5 over 36, which would give me a value of 5 divided by 36 is 14%. So there's a 14% or a 14% probability that you will roll an 8. And that would look like this. Now, if I ask a question like, what is the probability of rolling something greater than a 7? So I would take all the numbers that are greater than 7, or if I just put equal to or greater than 7, let's just say greater than 7. So I would take all of these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So there's a 15 out of 36% chance, and that will, let me get the value of that, 15 divided by 36 gives you a 42% probability that you would roll 2 dice that would give you a value that's greater than 6 or 7. So if I gave you a question like, what is the probability of rolling something greater than a 7, or I did that already, less than, let's do less than. What's the probability of less than 7? Well, that's easy too, because anything less than 7 are 6s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's going to be 15 divided by 36, which would give us the same value. That's equal to 42. So it's going to be 15 over 36, which is 42%. So there's a 42% probability that I'm going to roll something that's less than 7. So if I give you a probability that what is greater than or equal to 7, then I would include my 7s. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So 21 over 36 is equal to 21 divided by 36 equal to 58%. So that's a pretty good chance. So there's a 58% probability that you would roll 2 dice and you would get, something greater than or equal to 7.